Large parts of Zimbabwe consist of semi-arid land. Originally, most of these areas were covered by forests, which helped to preserve the soil's water infiltration and storage capacity. However, as a result of widespread forest destruction, uncontrolled grazing of domestic animals and other deteriorating practices, the situation has changed drastically. Nowadays, during the raining season, large quantities of water are running off on the land's surface. High rates of soil erosion and water losses during the wet season are followed by frequent droughts and water scarcity during the dry season. During colonial times, farmers were obliged to establish drainage channels on their land. Rather than promoting sound resource management, drainage channels have in many rain-fed areas sped up the process of natural resource degradation. Faced with the effects of advancing natural resource depletion, many farmers find it increasingly difficult to earn a living from their land. But there are also some farmers who have successfully managed to restore sustainable and productive land use systems, originally facing the same basic conditions and challenges as their neighbors. Mr. Zephaniah Phiri Maseko is one of these persons. Born in 1927, Mr. Phiri started to work for the National Railway Company. But due to his sympathy and active support for the liberation struggle, he was finally dismissed by the colonial regime.
By 1957, I was allocated to a land, the very poor soil, a land that couldn't even produce anything because soil erosion had taken quite a lot of fertility from it.
Mr. Phiri noticed that during the raining season, large amounts of rainwater used to run off from his land without leaving any benefit. So, in order to improve the fertility and productivity of his land, one of the first things Mr. Phiri started to think about was to retain some of the rainwater.
During the rain season, there was plenty of water flowing down. During this, then in the later season, no water. After surveying this place, I saw quite a lot of water was running this side. Then this water had no anyone using it. I then made a structure over this way so that I could harness that water. With this pipe, the water that is utilized in this pit is taken down below, then into some other infiltration pits. It helps the soil down below.
Around the structures for improved water infiltration, he started to plant along with annual crops a wide range of useful tree and shrub species. The shrubs and trees have over the years transformed the formerly bare land around Mr. Phiri's house into a productive kitchen garden. Up to the present, the kitchen garden provides, even during the dry period, large amounts of fruits and other useful products. The first results obtained from rainwater collection and increased water infiltration around his homestead were so encouraging that Mr. Phiri decided to transform his entire land into a large rainwater harvesting and infiltration system.
Here is one of my infiltration pits. They are greatly helping me trapping runoff water and soil. Of these structures, I have plenty in my land.
Only with manual labor, he and his family established within a few years on their entire piece of land a comprehensive soil and water conservation system with different types of infiltration pits, deep trenches, ponds, and other water harvesting structures.
Since I started working in my land, I have always appreciated water planted in my land. Stop it from all the runoff. The best philosophy in me is that all the water that falls within my land should be kept into the soil.
Along the contour trenches, Mr. Peary planted again different trees, shrubs, and other suitable plant species which help to stabilize the edges of the trenches and benefit from increased soil humidity. Even in the event of heavy rains, no excess water and fine soil material can leave the family's land.
I have really experienced working in this land that water and trees are really part and a parcel for a farmer. Then what I would ask other young farmers who are starting this work should look after the soil and water and trees. Stop cutting trees. Plant as many trees as you can to survive your soil.
Apart from contributing to reduce soil erosion, deep-rooting trees and shrubs are helping to access during the dry season nutrient and water stocks deep in the soil. Mr. Peary's family also cultivates a wide range of drought-tolerant crops. Apart from cassava and sweet potato, different species of nitrogen-fixing species such as pigeon pea are raised. Crop diversification and applied soil and water conservation measures have enabled Mr. Peary's family to step-by-step raise the fertility and harvests from their land and to enhance their resilience towards climatic change. To share his knowledge and experience with other farmers, at a certain point, Mr. Peary decided to form a small local NGO called Shishavane Water Projects. One of the persons who has been supported is Mr. Cleopas Banda.
Here in our area, this is a very, very dry area. We receive very little rain, and most of the months, such as 6 to 8 months, the area will be dry. When I came to live here, erosion was, the soil was already eroded, and the harvest was very poor. In 1994, the Soil and Water Conservation Project came, and when I started to work with the project, it helped me and the family. As a result of soil and water conservation works, our yield has grown up. So, Mr. Peary to me is a very good teacher, he's a very good symbol.
In the meantime, Mr. Banda has become a local innovator himself. Like Mr. Peary, he is well aware about the importance of combining soil and water conservation measures with the cultivation of large amounts of trees.
When I came here, there was no trees here. The ground was bare. But I planted the trees, as you can see. And here are the benefits now of a tree. One major point, windbreak, food to livestock, and also help to collect water from the ground and brings it to the surface so that my crops could suck the water on the surface. If you want to plant more trees, just keep 1 or 2, 3 mopani trees. When the ponds drops down, you've planted thousands.
Mr. Banda has also looked into another very important detail. In many areas, natural fencing material in form of dry branches from thorny species is a scarce supply. Mr. Banda's strategy to overcome this gap, the establishment of living fence.
And here, you can look at my live fence. I'm establishing live fence. This helps me not to go outside again and cut more trees. And if you want to establish live fence, early November, towards the rainy season, you just go along and just plant the seedlings of acacia. Then they germinate. Mind you, where there is raw branches, there is fertile. So in the fertility of the raw branches adds organic manure so that the seedlings could have food to eat and then grow well.
Mr. Cephas Dube and his wife Mushado Orogoda started some years ago to practice improved soil and water management. Through manual labor, they established a pond which is fed with the runoff water from neighboring fields. During the dry season, they use the water to cultivate tomatoes. In order to reduce water losses due to evaporation, during the dry season, all cultivated land is covered with a thick layer of mulch. Even at large distance from his home area, in regions with much more favorable ecological conditions, farming communities have been benefiting from Mr. Peary's vision and practical approach to soil and water conservation.
My name is Julius Pitti, and I'm here at the Chikukwa Permaculture Center. We usually call it just CELAC, the abbreviation. Chikukwa Permaculture Center started in 1991 as a community initiative, and eventually we took 70 people of our farmers around here, and we took them to Mr. Peary in Rishawan. And in Rishawan we saw a lot of water harvesting systems. That is the core backbone of permaculture worldwide. When you have good water, when you conserve soil, then you have it all. And he gave us the inspiration, and when we came back, it was like a bullet. Mm-hmm. All the projects started. Right. So the inspiration from Mr. Peary produced what you can see from here at Chikukwa Permaculture Center. And now the people around and the organizations around, they are also coming to get some kind of information that they need to develop their own community as well. So the impact is multiplying.
Even land, commonly referred to as marginal, in many cases still contains substantial production potential which can be made available through the more careful and efficient utilization of locally remaining resources. With his vision and practical work, Mr. Peary has inspired many farmers and other interested people. In recognition of his lifelong efforts, National Geographic awarded him the Howard Buffett Environmental Award. The experiences of Mr. Peary and other farmers who have managed to restore productive land management systems on formerly highly degraded lands are signs of hope.